What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Rose about to discuss another video, and you see the title of this video. We're going to talk about the GOAT conversation. LeBron James, MJ, who is it? Let's get it. So before I even hop into this video, it's important that we discuss this topic in an important, respectful manner, because I already know how people feel, LeBron fans, or what they call them, Bronsexuals, or whatever you want to call it. I know y'all be getting heated, and same thing with MJ, nostalgia people, and just basketball connoisseurs in general, because this is a touchy subject. I mean, we're talking about the greatest of all time, so rightfully so. But hey, let's be respectful in the comments, because I know this can get heated. So really, when talking about the GOAT conversation, everyone likes to bring up with Michael Jordan, you know, the 6-0 things, which really, I don't like to talk about rings, because if you talk about rings, we're gonna say that Bill Russell is the GOAT. So that type of criteria is really retarded in my opinion. Resume wise, LeBron definitely has a case, and really MJ does too. 14-time NBA All-Star, of course, 6-time NBA champion, 11 times All-NBA, Rookie of the Year, 5-time MVP, 6-time Finals MVP, 10-time scoring champ. I mean, the list is extensive. We know that for Michael Jordan, and same thing for LeBron. And then when you look at LeBron, he's a 19-time All-Star, easily being the best longevity player of all time, gonna be playing potentially 22, 23, maybe even 24 years, because you know he wants to play with Bronny, and potentially even Bryce if he can stay in shape, so that would be amazing. Then he's a 4-time NBA champ. Everyone will talk about 4 and 6, of course, because he's lost 6 finals, but he's also been to 10 finals. And when he was in the Eastern Conference, he was carrying the Cavs when he was basically by himself. Not necessarily by himself, of course, we know it's a team sport, but at the same time carrying the Cavs. Then a 3-time All-Star MVP, 4-time MVP, and of course on the 75th team, anniversary team, same as Michael Jordan. And then a 4 times final MVP and 6 times all defensive team. So I mean, we can talk about these resumes for forever. And then the most important one, that he's an all-time leading scorer in the NBA history. That's mainly why I'm making this video. Not necessarily mainly, but I want to talk about this because a lot of people in my generation, 2000s kids, I was born in 2002, everybody was like, oh man, that puts him at the GOAT status. And I can see why people say that, of course, but it's also important to know that we didn't see certain people play at the same time. So of course, talking about Michael Jordan, because we didn't see him play. I mean, he retired in 03, so I mean, what do we know? And then even people don't consider Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the GOAT, but he's definitely top 5 of all time. And we know that his game was different, that he played in a different era and things like that, and he didn't really, you know, play the same as LeBron or Michael Jordan. Didn't score as much. Of course, he was into Peyton stuff, but we still have to respect legends. And of course, that's what LeBron James did when he passed Kareem on the all-time scorers list. So basically, what I wanted to do in this video was pretty much highlight Michael Jordan's career and his path and his ability to the finals and all the success that he sustained, and same with LeBron James, analyze that, compare the two, and conclude with my decision. And even if I don't have the same decision as y'all's or same opinion, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's subjective. We just appreciate greatness, and that's what it's about. Now, when talking about Michael Jordan, we have to recognize that he's been regarded as the GOAT pretty much since the 90s. I mean, even when he didn't win 6 rings, even before he won his first championship, people were talking about that he was the greatest basketball player of all time. And of course, I wasn't alive then, so I couldn't speak to that. I didn't even see him live or see him even on TV. But at the same time, like, people saying that, it's crazy, but people have to be seeing something. So when we analyze and talk about his path to the finals and things of that nature, we have to note that we know that players nowadays in the 21st century, in 2023, they're more skilled now. We know that, more athletic. There's so many people that are way more athletic than people back in the day. And that's not to not make a knock on people who played in the 80s and the 90s and even early 2000s. Because I mean, the game was getting, you know, more skilled and things like that. But at the same time, people weren't as good as they are now. I mean, it's really that simple. The game has also changed tremendously, of course, being a more fast-paced game, and then being centered around the 3-point line. Back in the day, it was more centered around setting up your offense, playing in the paint, playing around a triangle offense. Of course, that was the case with Phil Jackson and the Bulls in the 1990s. So for me in this video, I'm not necessarily comparing their eras, because it's night and day. They're tremendously different. But my criteria is going to consist of both of their dominance and who was better at their peaks. When Michael Jordan scored 63 points in a first-round game against the Boston Celtics in the first round in 1986, Larry Bird literally called him God disguised as Michael Jordan.
That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Jordan's ability to get his spots, get buckets at will, and even though he wasn't the best shooter in his career, he was able to improve his game, and he also was an underrated playmaker. I really wanted to note that part out because that's just like coming from a peer, coming from an all-time great in Larry Bird, who's definitely, I would say, a top 10 to 15 player of all time. Maybe even higher for some people, depending on your list. Like I said, it is subjective. Let's flash forward to the 1990s. Now, we know that they won 6 championships during the decade, and people argue that they could have won 8 if Michael Jordan didn't initially retire and go play baseball. But one thing that people really like to highlight, especially after seeing The Last Dance a couple of years ago, really a few years at this point because it was released in 2020, Scottie Pippen's impact. Scottie Pippen is an all-time great. Let's definitely not get that confused. Let's not get that confused at all. All-time great defender, was really good on offensive end as well. When we talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron, LeBron in this GOAT conversation, it is important to know that Jordan did have help, most definitely. Like I said, Scottie Pippen, he had people like BJ Armstrong, Horace Grant, people like that, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright, but they were key role players and they were essential in helping Michael Jordan win some of his championships. Jordan did have arguably the greatest team of all time in the 1995-96 season, going 72-10. People do talk about, you know, the 2016 Warriors team. They did beat the record going 73-9, but they didn't win the chip, so but anyways, he did have a lot of help there because he also had people added to his team like Dennis Rodman, the greatest rebounder of all time, in the Hall of Famer, along with Tony Kukoc, who was a really good player and a solid shooter as well, and then Steve Kerr, who we all know as the Golden State Warriors coach nowadays, but who was also a really key player and a key role player, making big shots even in the NBA Finals. Now, I'm not saying nothing about Michael Jordan at all, nothing negative, because everyone has to realistically have help. This is a team sport. I mean, come on now. LeBron James had help too. Let's talk about it, because on the Heat, he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and he had some great role players on the team as well, even with Ray Allen making big shots, because if he didn't make that shot in Game 6 in the 2013 NBA Finals against the Spurs, we could be talking about LeBron being, what, 3-7 maybe. So everyone plays a role at the end of the day. Yes, there's better players, but at the end of the day, everyone plays a role, so let's note that. And then also with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he had Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love wasn't as good, but Kevin Love did play a role, and even with the Lakers, he had AD, but LeBron played phenomenal in the bubble, so let's give credit where credit is due. Going back to Jordan though, now the road to prosperity was key, and I'm not saying that he played against teams like the Golden State Warriors when they had Kevin Durant, because I don't even really think that he would be able to beat them. Now, I don't think it, because, bro, that was a super team. That team was so bogus. I don't even want to talk about that, but anyways, let's not sit up here and act like Michael Jordan was playing against scrubs though. Now, we do know his first championship came against the Lakers, and Magic Johnson was at the closest to the end of his career, but he still played against Magic Johnson. He played against Clyde Drexler. Now, he wasn't one of the GOATs, but Clyde Drexler is still an all-time great, you can say. Played against Charles Barkley, who didn't win a ring, but still an all-time great, won an MVP that year. 96, played against the Supersonics, Gary Payton, arguably the best defensive point guard of all time. And then 97 and 98, playing against the Jazz with Karl Malone and John Stockton. John Stockton, one of the best point guards of all time. We don't even know if his assist record will be touched, even though LeBron is getting up on there. He's the fourth on the list. So it's not like MJ was out here playing against people who don't even know how to dribble between their legs or shoot a three-pointer. I mean, he was playing against great competition. And people are more skilled now, but at the same time, I mean, that's what happens in generations. I mean, 20, 30 years from now, I mean, we don't know what the world's going to look like, but I'll bet to say that people are even better then too. I mean, we could have a billion of 6'10" point guards, which we're already getting to right now low key, so hey, things change. But overall impact on the game and dominance really comes down to two things, of course, being on the offensive end and defensive end, but creating for others and things like that. And I will say LeBron does clear MJ on creating for others. I mean, he's the ultimate playmaker, pass first, but like we've talked about before, and as we all know, he's now the all-time leading scorer, so his longevity is insane. With Michael Jordan, I mean, as a scorer and at his peak, I mean, he's obviously better, but that's a hard conversation to have, in my opinion. I mean, LeBron is literally the all-time leading scorer, and people still don't refer to him as the greatest scorer of all time, which I can kind of see, because scoring comes in different waves. Because it comes easier for some people like Kevin Durant. I mean, he scores so effortlessly. His impact on the game, getting buckets, supremely elite. Same with Kobe Bryant. I mean, sometimes he was very inefficient, but Kobe was going to get a bucket. And same thing with MJ. I mean, he was able to get buckets, and his efficiency was better than Kobe. So, I mean, obviously that's why we refer to him as the GOAT. But, well, some people do, and some people do LeBron. That's why we're having this conversation. But it's really just a tough conversation in terms of scoring. But LeBron is the all-time leading scorer, so credit to where credit is due. But moving past the scoring aspect and talking about the playmaking a little bit more, we know LeBron does that better. I mean, let's just be real. LeBron, you can argue that he's been a point guard of his career, just labeled at the small forward position. I mean, that's literally what he does. He gets his teammates involved, and then he gets his buckets. I mean, he impacts the game on a great level, and then also defensively, he's really great too. But Michael Jordan does have a Defensive Player of the Year to his resume, along with being a 9-time All-Defensive Player. And also, when he won a Defensive Player of the Year, he did win MVP as well. And like I noted before, LeBron James is also a great defensive player. He also has made the defensive team 6 times. So both of those two players, they're great defenders. They're great models of being the GOAT, defensively, offensively, really overall. But I would say defensively, Michael Jordan is better. But if you were to say LeBron's a better defender, I mean, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at all. I mean, this is a great debate. We love debating sports. This is what it's about. So I wouldn't be mad at that. All of the iconic backboard blocks that LeBron has had in the finals and just throughout his career in general, it's great to see. You love to see. They're very iconic, so I can understand that. But see, when you just look at numbers and base it off a resume, it's really tough, because you're just doing that, and like I said, it's not the same thing as seeing people play. So that's why it's tough for people like born in my generation. People saying that LeBron is better than MJ. You haven't seen both play. It would be so crazy if we saw both playing at the same time, playing against each other. Man, that would be beautiful. But life doesn't work like that. So at the end of the day, there's probably going to be someone at some point that's better than both. We don't know if that's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30, 40 years from now. But that's the thing about this GOAT conversation. I mean, it changes so much. And the NBA has only been here since the 1940s. So that change in face of the league is going to change eventually. Now, talking about LeBron some more, of course, we know the competition that he played against was crazy in 2015 and 2016 playing against the Warriors. 2016, in my opinion, to this day being the most impressive ring that he has. I don't really even think that's up for debate. I mean, come on, coming down from 3-1, bro, against them, 73-9. And now people will talk about that the stimulus package, like Stephen A. Smith says, that the Cavaliers were handed with Draymond Green being suspended. I mean, at the end of the day, the Warriors still had chances to win that game and win the series. They were up 3-1. There's no excuse for that. So LeBron still won that ring. Him and Kyrie balled out. That's LeBron's best ring easily. Now, I'm not about to sit up here and lecture with y'all because I'm in college. I already get enough of lecturing. But I will say LeBron does have the best resume of all time. I'm not saying he's a GOAT. I'm about to tell y'all my decision in a second. But, like, look at it, bro. He has the best resume of all time. Him averaging 30 points per game at the age of 38 years old in itself is insane. Michael Jordan was not doing that late in his career. He was getting buckets, but he wasn't averaging 30 points per game. And you can talk about the Lakers, you know, being in a play-in position constantly or being outside of the playoffs because they really haven't had real success since winning the NBA Finals in the bubble. But LeBron, he's not the reason why they've been losing. Now, I will say one thing that's really going to stir a lot of y'all LeBron fans up is LeBron did kind of organize these teams though around Russell Westbrook. Now, we know that they traded Russell Westbrook and all things like that, but LeBron was at the responsibility of that. And don't lie. Hey, y'all can say whatever y'all want to in the comments. He did play a role in trading some of these people, and that's why in 2021 and 2022 and right now 2023 they aren't looking that hot. But that's not really relevant to what we're talking about in the GOAT conversation because I mean, who cares? When talking about if LeBron can win another ring, of course he can, but will he? I don't know. Especially with Kevin Durant coming into the Western Conference, the Western Conference being so elite, so stacked, that's gonna be tough. But who I think the GOAT is, I think it's still Michael Jordan in my opinion. Now, like I said, I've never watched bro play before. Not, of course, live. Of course, I've seen highlights and, you know, documentaries and things. People have talked about his dominance on the game. But the fact that how he was just able to manipulate the game and just change things and really just shift the whole basketball world and make it relevant is really what signifies it to me. And I think that his peak was just better. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't put it against him not being able to play against teams like the Golden State Warriors in the 21st century. I mean, you can't control when you're born, but you can control the dominance that you have on the game. And Michael Jordan, in my opinion, he was the most dominant player ever. Not necessarily physically dominant, but in terms of just being able to change the game, being able to get buckets, being able to just win, being an all-time winner. Like I said before, we're not basing it just off of rings being 6-0 because he's lost a lot in the first round, second round against the Pistons and things like that. But I just truly think like Michael Jordan is still the GOAT. That's not to say that someone won't pass him in the future. And hey, LeBron can still pass him technically because he's still playing. But right now, in 2023, February 2023, AJ Rush thinks that Michael Jordan is still the GOAT, but anything's possible. So guys, I know some of y'all are mad at me for picking MJ. I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't say LeBron is bad. I didn't say I think that Kobe or someone like that is better, even though Kobe, he's my favorite player of all time, but I will admit LeBron is better. But bro, I just still think Michael Jordan is better. And I can understand in the comments down below if y'all think that I'm tripping. I understand it. I get it. But this is just my opinion. We're having fun here debating. So hey, I love it. And let me know in the comments down below why you think MJ is the GOAT or why you think LeBron is the GOAT now. I appreciate you guys watching always. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss. And also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for more reels, cooking content, shorts, and things of that nature. Stay tuned for more videos, guys, about sports, basketball, football, pop culture, lifestyle, Marvel, all those types of things, man. Y'all be blessed. Love always.